Good evening and welcome to this advective weather video. Unfortunately, we have a dangerous situation developing across the southwest Indian Ocean, with severe tropical storm Belal having recently begun a rapid intensification phase as it moves towards the Mascarenes Islands of La Réunion in Mauritius. As you can see, its structure is improving in the last 6 hours, with at the end of this period, you can see that clockwise curvature beginning to develop as the storm wraps up and will likely become a cyclone overnight. Currently, it's at 16.8 degrees south and 54.0 degrees east and is rapidly intensifying as per Meteo France. This is recent update. With 10-minute sustained winds of 110 kilometers per hour and a pressure of 986 millibars, putting it just below cyclone status at this time. For any American viewers, that's 70 miles an hour, 1 minute sustained, just below hurricane equivalent intensity. It's moving to the southwest at 24 kilometers per hour or 15 miles per hour. Over the next day or so, it will execute a steady turn to the southwest, slowing down a touch as it does so, and will likely maintain that course until it hits La Réunion. After La Réunion, it will continue to turn more towards the east, potentially moving due east, near or south of Mauritius. As you'll see, while that forecast track takes it directly over La Réunion and a fair bit south of Mauritius, by no means certain, it could even manage to move over La Réunion and then wobble to the north and bring direct impacts to both islands. In the longer range, Rodrigues is also in the forecast cone, and that island could see some more significant impacts if the forecast trends more towards the north. Unfortunately, Balal is expected to continue its current rapid intensification through tomorrow, ending up as an intense tropical cyclone, that's major hurricane equivalent, later on Sunday. It's then likely to make a near pass or direct landfall on the island of La Réunion near its peak intensity, which will obviously bring catastrophic impacts to the island. The Joint Typhoon Warning Centre also agrees with the Meteo France forecast with a very similar track and peak intensity. Going on to the GFS weather model, you can see that it pretty much follows the Meteo France forecast track exactly, steadily turning to the southeast, moving over La Réunion, and then slowing down as it drifts to the east towards Rodrigues. You will also notice that it goes just north of La Réunion and comes much closer to Mauritius. And there are some wobbles in that track as well. It potentially undergoing some sort of weakening due to interacting with La Réunion or an eyewall replacement cycle. It's hard to tell without high resolution data or more zoomed in view being available. But you will notice that it intensifies the storm after it moves away from La Réunion, meaning that it could still be an intense tropical cyclone as it passes Mauritius. Something else to be aware of, besides the likelihood of destructive cyclone force winds of over 170 kilometers per hour as this storm moves near and past the Mascarenes Islands, is extreme rainfall. You'll note the bright yellow colors indicating more than 500 millimeters of rainfall. That's 20 inches. And the GFS, I had a look on a different website that lets you pick out the totals, and the GFS itself was showing over 1,000 millimeters of rainfall in some of the more mountainous parts of La Réunion in just a couple of days. That obviously will result in some fairly significant flash flooding. Now, the people of La Réunion are no stranger to flash flooding from these intense rainfall events, but combined with the destructive winds, it will not be a pleasant situation for many people. And if you're in a flood-prone area, particularly in the eastern part of the island, you should take precautions accordingly and potentially find a safe place of shelter that will protect you from both the winds and the rising waters as this storm moves through. Of course, if the storm takes a more northerly track, that rainfall could shift a bit farther north, and that would bring Mauritius into the several hundred millimeters of rainfall as well. Even in this, it's showing 100 or more millimeters of rainfall, which is still enough to cause some impacts. And in addition to flash flooding, mudslides will be a big concern for La Réunion as well. That's all the forecast information at this time. I'll take you back to the loop while we finish talking about it. This is a very substantial system. It's rapidly intensifying, as I've mentioned, and it is very dangerous. It is life-threatening for La Réunion and Mauritius, but especially La Réunion, where, as I mentioned, a direct landfall is currently forecast. And if you have not started to make preparations for this system's impacts, you need to do so now. If you live in a vulnerable structure, you should consider moving to a sturdier shelter. If you're able to board up your windows and you live in a place where you're particularly exposed to the wind, such as on the shoreline or on top of a hill, I would recommend protecting your property in any way that you can reasonably afford to do so. And of course, follow any official advice and evacuate if necessary. That's all from us for now. We will be back later, probably tomorrow morning, La Réunion time, with a short live stream updating you on the very latest with this system. And of course, we'll continue our video updates as this very dangerous storm continues to develop and move towards the Mascarenes Islands. Thank you again, and please stay safe. Goodbye.